Welcome to Your Business Matters. Whether you've been in business for years or you're just starting out, we invite you to join us as we provide fresh perspectives to fellow business people who are interested in improving the bottom line and getting better results.
The goal of this program is to bring you interviews, thoughts, and advice in a no-holds-barred, face-to-face forum where we exchange ideas and learn how each of us can overcome the challenges of doing business.
We are committed to offering effective solutions and strategies for small business owners like you.
We're dedicated to the idea that your business matters.
Hello, I'm Bruce Hassan, and welcome to Your Business Matters, where we continue to introduce new businesses to the area, as well as share some business information that we hope can be useful for not only existing business owners, but also some folks that might be thinking about going into business for themselves. Today I'm pleased to introduce Maureen Fabry of Craft Roots Brewing. Maureen, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on the show. So, tell us a little bit about your business, how you get started, your background.
Okay, sure.
And what is it that you do?
So our business is Craft Roots Brewing, and we're proud to be Milford's first brewery. Our name, Craft Roots, is a play on the word grassroots and craft brewing. We like that name because it points to the grassroots from the ground up nature of what we're trying to do. Bringing exquisitely fresh beer to the marketplace using some really unique ingredients that come from our local community. We like to say that our product is genuine, local, and fresh, and we'll talk a little more about that. But as far as background goes, I've been a brewer for about 20 years. I went back to brewing school after I discovered my love of brewing as a home brewer. It really captivated me and took me to a place where I wanted to follow my passion professionally.
So you say you went to school, so can
Yeah.
you lead us through that?
Sure.
Until this moment, I didn't know there was a brewing school.
Sure. So I was lucky enough to join the American Craft Brewers Apprenticeship Program that was out in California at the time, and did some studying intensive science and engineering, brewing science coursework, and then also tied that in with an apprenticeship, working with a couple of breweries in the Boston area, and then also transitioned from there to a regional brewery in Western Mass, where I worked for quite a while as a production brewer.
Really? And how much time did you actually do on site, the apprenticeship?
That was about a year or so within the program, and then started from there as an assistant brewer. As you would expect, there's really quite a bit to learn. You gain experience and gain familiarity with the process all along, and it just has been something that I've stayed with on a professional and a home brewing level for a long time.
I was saying on the ingredients of your product, most of it comes from the local level. How do you select, how do you just determine, I need obviously X, Y, and Z, but how do you determine how you get it?
That's a great question because it's really core to what I'm trying to do with the grassroots, craft roots feeling. So the barley that we select comes from artisans who are called maltsters, and they work directly with the farmers to take the barley or the other grains like wheat and rye and convert it for us brewers to use in the brewing process. So they really are a unique link for us back to the land, back to connecting people to the ingredients that are in beer. And you really find that when you're using local ingredients, there's a flavor profile that's distinct to the region and quite different from what you can get on the commodity scale for grain and hops too.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the time, I guess the lead time or to process a bottle of beer?
So one of the things we've loved to do on our label is put a filled on date.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
yeah, that gives the consumer an idea of just how fresh the product is.
So what's the birthday?
So that is the packaged on day. So the birthday typically is about 2 to 3 weeks prior to that.
Oh.
So it's about a 10-hour day for me to make a double batch of beer where it then ferments for about 7 days. So the yeast converting the sugars that I've made into alcohol. And then it takes about another 10 days or so for the beer to age and to condition. With IPAs, we have a couple of them. They age on hops, and that really imbues that very fresh, aromatic character to it. So that takes about 10 days as well. Then we carbonate and bottle.
Gotcha.
So about 3 weeks.
I was going to say, so the elapsed time is about 3 weeks.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that is very interesting to know. Yeah, well, great. Okay, so We were talking a little bit about the process and the technical side of it, and being a relatively new business, launching about 6 months ago.
Yeah, the fall of last year.
Yeah, Maureen, so what have been some of the challenges for getting your business from point A to point B as far as where you are today?
Yeah, there've been many, and I know it sounds sort of trite to say we look at our challenges as opportunities, but as you would expect in producing an alcoholic beverage, there's permitting issues. So the process really is a triad, working with the federal government to get their approvals, and then the state government after that, and then also on the local level. So we've been very fortunate in the town of Milford. They have been incredibly supportive and incredibly positive for our efforts to bring not just a brewery, but also a community hub, really, for people from our surrounding towns in our area to come together to experience something that's really unique and have a place where they can mingle with one another, sample ingredients, get to know some of the farmers who are producing our products, possibly bring in other artisans, and really be a community-focused business.
Now, most of your ingredients local?
They are. I'm proud to say that just about 100% of the hops that I use are local. So there's a fantastic farm out in Northfield, Mass, 4-Star Farm, and they are an amazing family growing both hops and grains. So the vast majority of our hops come from them. And then the maltsters that I spoke of earlier, there are a number of them within the Northeast that we've been utilizing 100% in all of our beers. So the malt is 100% from craft maltsters, which really gives us the opportunity to, as an artist, sort of paint a palette with the flavors that we can get from really unique sources.
I meant to ask you earlier, who's the quality control? You? And how does that work?
We like to spread that out and have a team of quality control. We don't want any particular bias, but certainly the recipes are mine. But producing a beer that is satisfying and new, it takes a myriad of inputs. So we do have a number of people that
actually testing.
They test it for us. Yeah,
No
they're
kidding.
very generous in offering their talents to try out our product.
I would think so.
We also like to have sort of a fluidity. So another one of the beers I produce is a red IPA, and I will say that recipe in particular has kind of evolved over time. So rather than having our beer attempt to be static and certainly it's consistent in quality, but it's kind of evolving as we come in contact with more craft maltsters or other sources for hops, and that is our hope going forward, that we really expand.
Right. So how many products do you have right now on the shelf?
We have 3 on the shelf. So we have 2 IPAs as well as a blonde. And we have a couple of others that we've been really fortunate to test at Depot Street Tavern in Milford. On a draft level, he has our product there. And as St. Patrick's Day approached, I made an Irish Stout to be released there.
Very fitting.
Yeah, and a double IPA. And those have been really well received. So I've definitely got a couple more, in the pipeline.
Gotcha. So is the plan like 3 a month, or 3 a quarter, or 3 a year? Or is that not defined yet?
It's really not defined, but I would love to do something like 3 a quarter. One of the things by design is that we've started this brewery on a small scale, which really gives us kind of an agility or a nimbleness to test out new recipes, and also to be really connected with the consumers so that we can get feedback from them through social media, see what they like, see what they would like to experience, and also make use of some of the unique agricultural ingredients that are from New England.
So part of the process I was going to ask you is if you could speak to how are you promoting your business and attracting or connecting with customers? What are some of the sorts of things that you're doing to promote your business?
Sure. So we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter account, Instagram. You'll also find us on Untapped, which is a venue for folks who are sampling beers of all kinds in different venues to check in. So we definitely are active in the whole craft brewing social media world. But we also have a great event coming up in Milford. Celebrate Milford is on May 14th. So we'll be part of the beer garden that's there. And one of the challenges that we've had so far is that the demand for our product really outstrips the supply. So good problem to have.
It is,
but
unless you're working 24/7.
Yeah, feels that way some days. But we'll have the chance then to provide product to a lot of people in our area and surrounding communities that have not been able to get a hold of our beer at Hickey's Wine and Spirits or at Depot Street.
Right.
So that's something that's really important to us, to also connect with some of the farms in the area. So last month we participated in a farm beer dinner that was at Tangerini Farm in Millis, and it was brought to them through Let Us Be Local, which is an organization that connects Central Mass farmers with restaurants and other venues. So we're really trying to reach out directly with the consumers through social media, but also really kind of hands-on with the farmers and artisans who are providing their products to us.
So building those relationships with your suppliers and things like that.
Absolutely.
So a number of events, local events, not to mention just with the stores and the like the bars, is that restaurants?
Yeah,
or-
so
right.
far, I mean, we just have one farm-to-table restaurant in Milford and then also one package store, and we certainly have our sights as we expand in the near future on casting our product wider than that. But we always feel that what we aim to be doing is to be more of a hub or a neighborhood kind of brewery, where we're not packaging our product and shipping it far and wide. We really want to be a brewery that has a sense of place.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so that people can find us in a number of outlets, but always know that it's a product that's very fresh and made hands-on in this vicinity.
Yeah,
right
pretty
here.
important stuff. Building ground up, for sure. What's talking a little bit about marketing initiatives, promoting a business. Is there anything else besides promoting a business? Any marketing initiatives that you see that either you're doing now or in the future to build or expand your business?
Well, I think there's great pride in our town, and we've certainly seen there's a lot of enthusiasm for what we're trying to do. I think one of the biggest initiatives we'll try to have is to be, as I've said before, a place possibly for artisans to be in a real brick and mortar brewery and tap room, perhaps have music, road races, really provide a venue for people who are, there's incredible enthusiasm now for beer. People are very beer savvy in the craft beer world. And so it's really the journey of finding these new breweries and discovering their beer, at the brewery itself, and then tweeting it out or connecting with other people to share, what they found and how excited they are about it. So I really see us playing in that realm and staying relevant and connected to what's going on. Particularly in this area of Massachusetts, there's a real sort of corridor, I guess, from Worcester down to Providence and back up into Metro West and Boston. It's really a fantastic venue for people to experience a wide range of.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were chatting earlier about the industry. And you were speaking a little bit about it. Is what is it today versus 5 years ago, just in Massachusetts, as far as how many brewers and because you said the interest level certainly looks like it's expanding.
It
Can you speak
definitely
to that?
is. Yeah, it definitely is. It seems now daily there's a couple of breweries nationwide opening up. I mean, that's astounding, 2 to 3 breweries a day. So here in Massachusetts, I think we're up around 200 or so breweries. So for someone like me who's been brewing for about 20 years, I guess I feel like, wow, it's about time, right? That people are beginning to
What's taking so long?
But I'm also thrilled to see that there's really more and more people want to know where their food comes from. They want to know also who the brewers are who are making the beer, where the ingredients for that beer are coming from. So I think it's fabulous that there's a real desire to connect with what we're putting in our bodies and to also provide support for people who are super passionate about what they're doing. I mean, I'm passionate about the beer I make. The farmers, the growers are passionate about doing something that, in the life of agriculture, it can be very risky and very challenging to undertake growing a crop that was so prevalent here, pre-Prohibition. So there's just a lot of energy and enthusiasm about a kind of renaissance to bring back what was really commonplace.
So it's beyond just what's in this, the ingredients. What is it? It's health has to play in this, do you believe?
Yeah, for sure. Health and also economy, supporting local businesses, local initiatives. I think it's also just being able to enjoy something that's really a lot of fun and about connecting with people. It's about not not just enjoying the beer, but having that conversation with somebody who you know is from your community you may not have met before, but having sort of a common place. In this world, I feel like technology has made us so very distracted and busy. And beer is kind of a timeout to really connect with what you're consuming and who you're with, and take a moment out of your day to be mindful.
Slow it down.
Slow it down and be mindful.
Yeah,
of it.
exactly. Yeah. We're into that go, go, go.
Yeah.
And you're right. The gadgets, they're very useful, but we tend to utilize them for almost everything. It seems like that's an interesting comment. So in today's business world, as you know, consumers have many choices. And in my experience, it's like instant coffee. I want it now, and it better be right.
They do.
But can you share with us some things that make Craft Roots Brewing unique? As compared to some of your competitors.
Yeah, I mean,
which there seems to be a lot of them.
There sure are. Yeah, there's more and more every day. Well, I mean, certainly one thing that I think that's unique, as I've said quite a bit, is sourcing our ingredients locally. But I also think you don't meet too many female brewers. In my experience.
So it's a man's world? Is that one of those things?
I think
up until now.
In the olden days, it certainly was more of a female's profession, but it has become kind of a male's profession. But I think what's really unique about Craft Roots is the kind of genuine integrity that I feel that we have about the product itself. So rather than go the route of having sort of clever names for each beer style that we're producing, we're really highlighting what's on the inside of the bottle and being able to help people connect back to the land and the people who are making that product. And we think that's a really compelling story for people. They'll appreciate the flavor profiles, but I think deeper than that, people understand now where their beer's being brewed, but they're also going to want to know who's behind it.
Right.
And I think that's really a unique take.
Important connection to your product.
Yeah, and relationships. And we're also very much grounded in sustainability. And not just from where the crops come from, but also in the ways that we work in the brewery itself. So using some very environmentally friendly techniques for cleaning and sterilizing tanks, for taking the spent grain and some of the byproducts from the brewing process, returning those back to the farmers, and being very sort of mindful of the ecology and the environment that the community that we're in.
So that's part of your mission, is environmentally sensitive is a big deal.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, that's an important point, I think, to consumers, or building those relationships, making those connections. Not many, but I'm not sure it's a top priority for a lot of businesses.
It's certainly growing. There's a lot more awareness of that, but it's a very worthy endeavor.
Now, do you ask for input from the suppliers that you do have, as far as are they part of the process at all, other than just delivering product at this price? Are there any interactions or interfacing?
Yeah, there's a great number of interactions. So with our hop grower, they have like a brewer's day every year for brewers to come down to the farm and actually touch and smell and feel the hops as they're still on the vine before they're picked and harvested. So it's a great chance for us to meet other brewers who are just new and getting into it, share some of our products with them. Same with the maltsters. I'm headed to Philly in a couple of weeks for the Craft Brewers Conference, and amongst the whole craft malting industry, there's this great tap takeover that's taking place nationwide. There's a number of breweries who are producing beers just with locally grown malt, and it'll be the first time really that this core group of Craft Brewers Conference attendees can sample truly crafted malt in the product. So yeah, there's this amazing flexibility also with our suppliers to really tailor make a product, the barley that they're malting for us, so that we can make a special beer, or to bring back a traditional beer style that hasn't been brewed in a while.
No, good.
Yeah, it's really a collaborative effort, rather than just sort of picking what's available on the shelf. It's
Are there many trade shows in your industry?
Sure, yeah.
Do you often go once a year, twice a year, or is that many? Or
I personally have not been attending as much in the past, but as we're growing and expanding, I will be. But yes, there's really a plethora of trade shows and conferences for us brewers. It's a very collegial group, and you would think with the number of breweries out there, the competition might be fierce, but it really is a collegial. We support one another kind of group.
That's great.
Great feeling.
I was looking at your logo, and
Yes.
I was wondering, not to be repetitious, you spoke of how you got to it, but what was the process to get to the name? How did you lead us through that?
Sure. So we wanted to connote the farm-to-table movement has really risen in the last 5 or 6 years. So we wanted to connote what we call field to glass, meaning taking the grain from the field to the glass. And so for us, we really wanted to have an image of the barley stalks rooted in earth, with the negative space here being a glass, to really bring to life the embodiment of field to glass. And we're fortunate enough to find an amazing graphic designer in our community here in Milford, Jan at Mila Fleury Graphics, who really understood that concept and was able to help us execute something that when you look at it, it's not readily evident sometimes that there's a glass in the negative space there. But we just thought it's the perfect embodiment of what we were after.
How long did the process take to get to what you just described? The name, the design, and the connecting. How long did that process take?
I would say it took us probably about 6 months. We actually had a name previous to Craft Roots that for trademark purposes didn't work out. So it ended up being a bit of a longer tailed process. But I found that when we didn't rush into it, we weren't in a big hurry to get out there and get business cards printed and go. We were really able to be sort of true to the core, the soul of what we're trying to bring Craft Roots to be.
Interesting. Interesting. You spoke about customers. Could you describe your customer, or maybe an ideal customer? You said this, not to be too repetitious, but could you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. We feel that our typical customer, again, is very passionate about what they're buying. We know that there's lots and lots of choices in the marketplace. So they're very beer savvy, and they're also very enthusiastic about the process of finding that brewery location and getting a feel for what their vibe is all about. So they're very grounded, meaning that they probably have experienced craft beer before and are able to look past, it just being something new on the shelf and dig a little deeper, as we say, drink a little deeper into what the beer is all about. I mean, as far as an age range goes, I've experienced so far really the whole gamut of maybe late 20s, quite a few on the younger age, always all the way up.
Less than 21, right?
Less than 21,
okay,
definitely not. But it really does kind of run the gamut. But I would say that it's people who are already kind of plugged into that farm-to-table movement and really dig what we're trying to do with the
male,
ingredients.
Female, all the gauntlet of the age. But how about
I have to say,
equally?
a lot more women than I had
No
anticipated.
kidding.
We did an event at Tower Hill Botanic Garden last fall, and our kickoff was in Mendon at a soccer fundraiser. And so we had the opportunity to see who really was coming out to try us as we launched. And so many women, it's incredible and wonderful for me to see that it's becoming very balanced, 50-50 almost, with women who are appreciating beer
Interesting.
and getting the flavors that are possible.
So will that help in your marketing initiatives, your strategy, I should say, as far as that shift, or I can't say the shift, you've only been in business for 6 months. Yeah. Is that going to be helpful in determining what you do in terms of products?
I think it will. I mean,
marketing.
I think from my own, personal take, as a woman in this industry, I definitely have sort of a fingertip on the pulse of what is appealing or what sort of clicks with women as well as men. It's just sort of nice to be gender blind, I guess.
Sure, that's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
Instead of going for what may be sort of a prototypical male perspective. I mean, it's kind of nice for us to get back to the grassroots, to see it as like from the people up, and sort of let the people decide what it is that they, what they find compelling about it.
Yeah. Interesting. What do you see your business? What's the vision today, 3 to 5 years or longer down the road? Where do you see it?
We're at a really exciting cusp right now. So we've started out on a very small scale, brewing in Milford on a pilot system. But we are very close to having all the permitting in place to go to a larger brick and mortar production brewery and tap room in Milford. So our hope is in the next 3 to 5 years to have a real neighborhood hub kind of place where we can be very nimble with what we produce and have a variety of beers for folks to try and indicate within those beers where the malt came from, where the hops came from, and let people begin to experience what the local agriculture really tastes like. But also, we see it being, as I said before, a community hub, a place for people to come to interact with one another and support initiatives in our community for fundraising and events.
Good, interesting. Maureen, if you being in business and sort of being part of it for 20 years and launching in 6 months, is there any advice or insight you'd want to share with someone that would might want to be thinking about getting into business and becoming a business owner, self-employed?
I would say, obviously, follow your passion, because when you're passionate about what you're doing, it shows. And there's a real fire that goes along with that that attracts people. I would also say, don't let your fear stand in the way, because there certainly are times when I tell myself, I'm not exactly sure if this is the right path, how is this going to work out? But you say you're doing it anyway. But what I would say is it's incredibly energizing to be doing something that you find meaningful, and it's incredibly gratifying to see that there are people who connect with that, and they get to the point where they feel that it's a true relationship. It's a true back and forth with providing a service or a product. That it truly is meaningful, not just for you to produce it, but for someone to relate to it, to feel something in in their I don't want to say psyche, but something within them that they can connect with on a real visceral level.
That passion's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because there's an expression, I always get it backwards. It's the nights are, if you're doing something you love and enjoy, the nights are longer. The days shorter.
Days
I think
shorter.
That's not right?
Yeah, something.
Like that.
Or if you do something you love, then you're never really truly working.
There you go.
Something
it's not a job, it's a hobby, more or less. If you can do that, that's for sure.
Yeah, not to dismiss that it is hard work, but it's super rewarding.
Yeah. It isn't something you're going to do for 40 hours a week only. On a consistent basis.
It can be consuming.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to have the passion, because that helps in the commitment level, and when things go sideways, it reels you back in, for sure. So that's great. What if some folks want to get a hold of you, get some more information about your product and your business? How do they do that, Maureen? Sure.
So we have a webpage. It's www.craftrootsbrewing.com. They can find us on Facebook and Twitter. We also, if you go to our webpage, there are links there to those two accounts. We have a Contact Us page, so if folks wanted to enter in their name and email address, we then respond to those and send out a newsletter periodically. Also the phone number for the brewery, 508-662-4871. And we just thrive on having connection with our consumers as we grow. It's a very exciting time, and we're looking forward to meeting lots of new fans.
Sure, I'll bet. Well, it sounds like it's growing if your demand is outpacing your supply, right?
Yeah, so far so good, yeah. Let's hope that keeps pace.
Well, maybe you need a price increase.
Yeah.
No. I'm not trying to give you bad advice. Okay, any final thoughts about the business, or sharing any other information, any insight you'd like to share? Great conversation, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I just think that we're in a really exciting time for craft beer, but also within this Metro West area of Boston. I see a lot of revitalization happening. I see a lot of construction happening in our neck of the woods, and it's just it's compelling to see that there's growth.
Right. That was great. That's good news. Well, that's about all the time we have for today, and I'd like to thank Maureen once again for joining us today and sharing your business and insights about some business information. Maureen, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for this. I'm going to take this home,
Absolutely.
right?
I look forward to hearing your thoughts.
I'll certainly let you know. Once again, I'm Bruce Hassan, and thank you for joining us on Your Business Matters, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.